right, well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much coming out to beautiful Shawnee Park, one of the really most fabulous destinations in our city. You can see as you come up and see the reason why we're here, the Ohio River, but then all the wonderful work, and it's always a nice day just to be hanging out in the woods. We have been working over the past several years to transform this historic park, Shawnee Park, and then Chickasaw Park, just down the road a half a mile or so, into even more diverse and exciting green spaces to provide leisure opportunities and rich environmental experiences for people young and old and from all walks of life. And this great work for years has been a critical focus of Louisville's Parks and Recreation amongst their large, massive portfolio of parks and recreation centers that they have in our community. So I wanted to say thank you to them. Our Parks Department is led by Director Margaret Brosco, who's right here. Let's give it up for Margaret. Thank you. And Bennett Knox has been behind so much of this work as well. Bennett has overseen development of the West Louisville Outdoor Recreation Initiative since its inception more than a decade ago. And you're going to be hearing from Bennett in a moment. But I want to say a few other thank yous before then. I've thanked Margaret. I'd also like to thank the entire Parks team, including Masude, our Assistant Parks Director. Is Masude here? She leads so much of our work on forestry. Ben Johnson, I saw Ben just walk in the bank. And a special shout out to Assistant Director of Infrastructure and Engineering, Jason Canuel. Jason and his staff, that's right. Look, he's waving back there. I'm glad to see the sociability in action there. You're normally very low-key, Jason. But Jason and his staff have gotten so much done. When you see projects around the city, these are the folks that coordinate, they design, they project manage. It's hard. There's a lot of moving parts, especially in today's world with just getting labor to do things is difficult. They've coordinated this project with MSD, the Army Corps of Engineers, and Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. So that's a lot of moving parts that have come together to make this tremendous project come to fruition here once again. So, Jason, thank you to you and your team. Let's hear it for Jason Canuel. So when you think about all the progress we've made at Shawnee and Chickasaw, it's quite a lot, and I'll talk a little bit about that this morning. But the good news is there's more to come. And so this trail of interpretive signage over here is just the latest in a long list of major improvements here at Shawnee Park. I want to recognize Maggie Harlow, who's here with Signorama, who is in charge of getting all these good signs for us here today. So if you need signs, go to Signorama there, and Maggie will take care of you. When you think about the beautiful new path that we have here, it was probably about a year or so ago when we introduced the boat ramp. So we had not had good access to the Ohio River in West Louisville for decades and decades. So that was one of the projects that we wanted to make sure to launch, pun intended, in my administration to make sure that we had a great boat ramp down here. So that is right over here, obviously. It was dedicated with the help of Kentucky Fish and Wildlife and our first responders in the spring of 2021. The ECHO program office on top of the hill debuted this spring, and I hope it's a harbinger, Councilwoman, of things to come. Our long-term goal with the help of Wilderness Louisville is to create a world-class outdoor learning center where the program office is currently situated. And you can see those plans at wildernesslouisville.org. That we need that to kind of top off all the great work that's been done here at Shawnee. Other improvements that you can see at Shawnee right now include an upgraded playground, upgraded spray ground, a new bicycle pump track that our Summer Works team built a couple years ago, and then, of course, the build-out of the Dirt Bowl complex has been incredible. We just had the finals 2 or 3 weeks ago. Newburgh won this year, record attendance, great turnout from the University of Louisville. Lots of folks really participated in that. So again, a lot went into this. I want to say thank you to MSD. MSD, when we put the retention basin underneath the big field in Shawnee Park, you can recall there was controversy around that until everybody understood what was taking place. It become a real win for the park because it generated revenue that we were able then to invest back into the amenities of the park. And so I think Shawnee Park now is one of the most amazing places in the city for a mix of both passive and active recreational opportunities. So that's cool, and there's more coming. Now, I'd also like to talk about the improvements that we're making in Chickasaw Park, which is just down the road. And for historical perspective, we'll remember back in the day of Jim Crow, these parks were segregated. So Shawnee Park was largely the white park, Chickasaw Park was largely the black park, and I just bring that up in that when we think about how we've progressed historically and how much more work we still have to do as a society in America, in our state, and our city as well. But I think it's important that we always remember our history and where we came from and why investments in these parks from an equitable standpoint are so important. So when we talk about Chickasaw Park, of course, it's a much smaller park. It's a more intimate park. It serves a different purpose in today's Louisville than Shawnee Park, but it's a tremendous park for fellowship and gathering. So we've had a lot of great work there from the staff of Jefferson Memorial Forest and Louisville Parks and Recreation. And so that pond that you see as you exit Chickasaw Park is going to go through a tremendous transformation. It's the only flat water recreational amenity in this part of town, so that's going to be turned into a destination spot for fishermen. You could even get out on a kayak if you wanted to, and for those that want to enjoy the pond as it was intended. So that's going to be a really nice addition, readaptation, if you would. We've allocated $2.5 million in American Rescue Plan funding to improve the pond at Chickasaw, and that work is expected to be completed by early 2024. So that's going to be a really fun thing to see. And if you haven't heard, the pond here at Shawnee now is apparently full of these jellyfish, freshwater jellyfish that are unusual to see in this part of the country. So on the way out, if you want to check that out, you can join me, and I'm going to check in with the jellyfish. Bennett Knox has been behind so much of this work over the years. He's really driven home the need for equitable nature-based experiences in the 20 years that he dedicated at Metro Parks. And that's where he oversaw programming at Jefferson Memorial Forest and the city's natural areas with Wilderness Louisville. This has been a passion for Bennett's to make sure that young people are getting outdoors, especially the young people of West Louisville are getting outdoor. Bennett has always been full of adventure. And in a few weeks, he's heading off to a new adventure where he's going to be the parks director in Whatcom County in Washington State, which is a beautiful area of the country and about as far away geographically as you could go right here. But I know he looks forward to all of us visiting him in the state of Washington. So he's done an incredible job over the years, and I just really have appreciated his passion toward making our city a better place in the genuine way that he connects person to person to lift people up. So let's hear from Bennett Knox. Bennett?
Well, it's great to see so many friends here, and it's great to have Bud Dorsey's family here as well for what we're going to be doing this afternoon, later this morning. Thank you, Mayor Fisher, for those remarks and for really laying out what's happening here in the broader sense. So I first, a few words here, just want to really honor the staff of Jefferson Memorial Forest who've really gone above and beyond to make this happen. It's been a rather interesting year, I think, for everyone coming out of the pandemic. So I want to honor Jessica Kane, who is now interim Parks Administrator with the Forest. John Studer, please raise your hand. John is our their new landscape manager over the land management division. Who else do we have here? I've got Samara Dunn, who's the new guest services manager at the Forest as well. And I think we've got some summer works folks here too who helped out. Getting this project done this year was an adventure for them because they had some staff turnover in the midst of doing all their summer camp activities. And it's a testament to their dedication to have pulled this off with support from Wilderness Louisville. So I guess I want to start by saying this trail could have been built with contractors. That's not what ECHO's about. It's not called Louisville is Engaging Contractors Outdoors. It's called Louisville is Engaging Children Outdoors. It could be called Louisville is Engaging Community Outdoors because that's what this project has been It started with working with a grant that John helped out with from AmeriCorps, National Civilian Community Corps. About 18, I think it was 16 kids came out. They lived at Jefferson Memorial Forest for a few weeks, came out here every day, removed all this dump debris, removed invasive species, got it ready for the next group of kids to come, the Summer Works youth, who completed the trail, built the bridges, installed them, and worked to make this tread that you see today a reality. So that's what it has been about. We've also have Parks has a West Louisville Community Council of residents from the neighborhood that have guided this project really for the past 3 or 4 years. And they have helped us determine what was the signage going to be, what kind of a community meeting should we have with the community to make this a reality. So it really has been that kind of effort. That's what ECHO's about. And so it's about getting folks involved in nature, creating these pathways, particularly for the youth involved. And now we're going to have kids and families out here using this trail from an early age, using the boat ramp, using the work at Chickasaw, developing that passion for nature, and they're going to be the next folks to take the jobs at the future Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center and guide parks programming into the future. So that's what this is about. It's not just about some dirt on a path. And this wouldn't really, I know it's been Parks that's done the work, Wilderness Louisville support, and a lot of folks in Summer Works, but I want to acknowledge Bud Dorsey's role in this because it's actually been critical. In a way that I don't think people quite realize, and it's really why this program started in the first place. You know, out at Jefferson Memorial Forest, I'm going to tell a story that's probably a little bit negative, but you know, I passed Confederate flags when I first started in 2020. The perception was not a place for everyone. That's what we've been battling. That's what this is all about, making this community whole, connecting it in a way that nature is available for everybody. And so we started early, just why is this the case? And one of the things we found, research, was if you opened up an outside magazine anytime before 2000, you didn't see African Americans in the pictures. There was a lady named Carolyn Finney who did a research project at Berkeley. She's now an expert in this field, talks all over the country about that. And we were seeing that at the force. You know, we had kids come out for a one-time visit with a school program, but we'd never see them again. And so it was all about kind of creating that situation where everyone could see themselves in nature. And that's what Bud Dorsey brought. You know, he has, I mean, you know, I don't know, I knew him a little bit. I know had so much of a full life, family man, father, everything he did in the 60s and 70s, Jet Magazine, the whole thing. He's just a fantastic man. We were so fortunate to have him out here supporting the ECHO program because he was passionate, considered him, I think, himself a nature photographer, and he loved kids. And so here was an opportunity for us to help share with him and for him to share back with us. And so he was so gracious to take photographs on every event that we did out here, whether it was canoe mobile, ECHO programming with kids, summer camps, all of that, and just give us use of those photos to do promotion, to show the funders that were funding the program what's the real impact. Picture's worth 1,000 words. That's made the difference, and we're so excited to honor him today. I hope what we're going to unveil later today, you know, it's outdoor right now, but at some point it could be a centerpiece of the Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center, and I would love to see the Bud Dorsey Gallery be a part of that building and continue to honor his legacy. So I've talked too much. Thank you so much, and really excited to hear and see you here, William, and everything support from Councilwoman Purvis all the way to Mr. Gritton here. So thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning. I just want to make a correction that we can only represent one district, and that's 5. I can't do 4 and 5. That's all right. That's fine. But I just wanted to say, growing up, Shawnee Park had a different meaning to me. It meant that on Sundays, my sisters and our girlfriends, we could come over here and laugh and giggle, and when we see cute boys and have fun. And, you know, we didn't imagine, or we didn't know the history behind it, and we didn't know the pain behind it until my mom shared with me that Shawnee Park was not for African Americans back then. The only park that they could go to was Chickasaw Park. Well, Chickasaw Park is a cool park, but it's not Shawnee Park. And so, in knowing that, you know, that meant a lot to me, and to know that Mr. Dorsey experienced that segregation growing up, when he got the opportunity to actually come to this park and enjoy this park, he captured nature, he captured happiness that we didn't get to experience prior to. And I just wanted to go on and say this. The one connection that African Americans of my age have with each other is all of our parents went to one high school back then, which was Central High School. And so I would hear my mom and her brothers, my mom's the only girl, and her brothers, talk about certain people. And so it wasn't long after I got on the council, I had to go to some event at the library. Mr. Dorsey was there, so I was sharing it with my uncle. Yeah, I'm going to the library today, and Bud Dorsey's going to be there. He's like, oh, yeah, I know him. And my uncle's so laid back, I can't stand it sometimes. And so I'm like, yeah. So when I get there, I approached Mr. Dorsey because I always thought he was great, but I never knew how to approach him. The one way I knew I could talk to him was to talk about Central High School. And so when I mentioned my uncle, and he's like, oh, yeah, I know Donald real well, and his sister Mildred. I'm like, oh, my God, they do know him. So I felt like I met family. So, he was a phenomenal guy, which I kind of felt like he had a beautiful spirit. I worked with his daughter years ago, and she always had a great personality. So I knew, as they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I knew there was some truth in that. But, I just want to thank him for connecting African Americans with nature. And this is something that I hope that we can continue to embark on as we do the Outdoor Learning Center. But I just want to say thanks to Bud for all that he did while he was here, and that his memory will live on through this connection. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll be quick. I just want to say a couple things about SummerWorks. Number one, I want to give a shout out to the Youth Build team. You see people wearing the SummerWorks t-shirts today. We love this work. We love to give young people their first job experience and make it a quality one. But in particular, I want to thank and honor Mayor Fisher today for three things. Number one, when he was a brand new mayor in January of 2011, we had some federal money for 2 years to run our summer job program, and that money was going away. He was a brand new mayor and could have easily turned away from the challenge of continuing to try to build a summer job program. But instead of leaning away, he leaned in right from the beginning. He had the vision that you're going to hear from today in terms of a young person who worked in SummerWorks this summer. You're also going to hear from somebody who was a SummerWorks kid years ago, who's now a great success in our economy. And so he had that vision from the minute that he got the job in January of 2011. Number two, he had the persistence to keep at it. It hasn't been easy to find the money, hasn't been easy to raise the money, but he's just brought that continuous improvement and persistence about it every single day. And from the beginning, he wanted this program to be about social justice, about connecting every single kid to the kind of opportunity that he knew his kids and my kids were going to be able to find. Again, you're going to hear from a great speaker this morning who got a chance to work in this program, but he is standing in for hundreds of kids that we've directly placed into jobs this summer and thousands that were hired by our employer partners this summer with the great help of our Youth Build team. So again, Mr. Mayor, we really appreciate your leadership, not just for this year, but for 12 years, and we're really, really proud of what SummerWorks did this summer, and you're going to hear a little bit about it in just a minute. So thank you.
That was definitely a great intro. But I had a great time working this summer with SummerWorks. KJ, I got to give my man a shout out. He always looked out for me. He helped me get a job really quick. I was put onto the SummerWorks job originally by my cousin, Christy Welch. She's one of my idols. Reason I want to be something in life. And I had a great time working this summer with Echo and SummerWorks. And they've changed my perceptions a lot. I've had a lot of my perceptions challenged a lot when it comes to whether I like working outside or not. Also, when it comes to just information about the environment in Louisville as a whole. A lot of the things I thought were not right, and I got a lot of information about the different things that are going on and the different things that Echo's doing to make Louisville a better place. And I had a great time working with SummerWorks and my coworkers, and yeah, we had a great time.
Thank you. One thing is clear, the mayor really does know my dad. He would definitely be a little bit embarrassed today. He was such a humble and quiet man, and he loved what he did. And I want to thank you guys for honoring him today. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say it's amazing how things kind of come full circle. William and Brianne were a part of the Summer Works program, and I was telling Brianne many years ago, I'm going to date myself, I was a part of the Summer Scene program. So my first job in Louisville, Kentucky was through the Summer Scene program, so it's amazing. Also, another revelation I had while here was we spent so much time here at Shawnee Park when we were kids. We went to the Dirt Bowl. My dad and I had many daughter and father conversations by the pond throughout the years, and so it is amazing today that we are experiencing this all here in the Shawnee Park. It was an honor for us to work on the mural for my dad. It was amazing, and it was a little nerve-wracking because we were trying to make sure we didn't mess up the photo. We were not artists. The family, we were not artists, but we enjoyed that time putting in some work on the mural, and it was very touching and very moving for us. So we thank you for that, Bennett and your staff. I appreciate everybody that participated in that. But most people know my dad from his awesome photographs capturing the beauty and the humanness of the people of West Louisville. However, there was a Bud Dorsey that was post-retirement and a second chance at life. And for most of you all, know my dad's battle with cancer was his second battle. But after his first battle with cancer, it seemed to be his perception or perspective around things changed, which happens to most people. But it was so cool to see him change from capturing the humanness of people to capturing nature. And so I would ask my dad often, you could find him wearing camouflage all of the time, and he just loved to capture nature. And he would also frequent, Chickasaw Park, Shawnee Park, and you saw him doing what he loved. And he termed what he did a walkabout. And me and my kids have now since utilized that term often. When he would be out, he'd be photographing nature. He'd be photographing the parks. He called those walkabouts. And his pictures of nature, though, were so inspiring. I mean, we see pictures of birds all the time. We see pictures of animals. But somehow he was able to just hone in just so close. And I would often ask him, how did you get so close to that bird without him moving? Being my dad, who he was, so humbly, he would just kind of laugh. But I have a picture hanging in my home of him that he took of a bird. And it was just like you could see right through the bird's eyes. It was just that detailed. And so I wanted to make sure that I framed that photograph to always remember his perspective on things. Being the person that he was, he never did brag. You didn't hear him brag, but he never gave up secrets either. My dad continued his legacy of utilizing available light and till his transition. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for honoring his legacy through the mural. My dad said everything he leaves is being left to his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and he loved each and every one of them, his nieces and his nephews. He was all about young people. Years ago, he started a photography studio for young people. I worked with young people all my life, and he would always say to me, can you get some of them that might be interested in photography? I'd love to teach them. I'd love to work with them. He was all about young people. And so I asked Brianne to join me today to talk because I just wanted her to talk from a perspective of a younger adult. She has a child of her own, and we need to see what this will mean to the future of Louisville, Kentucky, to the future of the kids of West Louisville, to the future of all the kids in Louisville, Kentucky as a whole. And we hope that they enjoy this park, this nature center, this mural for many years to come. And so I'm going to ask Brianne to come up now to share.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming today. A legacy could be defined as something that is passed on. It could mean assets, such as property. It could mean beliefs, such as religion. But in the case of my uncle, Charles Bud Dorsey, he passed on the legacy of life. A life he spent capturing candid moments of history and times through a lens that he only experienced. But now his children, his grandchildren, his nieces and nephews are able to experience the tiny dots that make up the timeline in history in the form of a photograph. He left us evidence of a life lived where hydrants were open for kids to splash, where mothers and children exchanged hugs and laughed, where beautiful afros glistened and shined, where Derby meant Broadway with cars in a line, where people didn't hesitate to bow their heads and pray, and where nature stood still, provoking us to guess if the sound of the wind whispers the same today. Uncle Bud didn't know that he would create a forever legacy for the Dorsey name. Uncle Bud didn't know that his favorite camo coat that blended him into the background would someday bring him to the forefront. My Uncle Bud didn't know that my daughter would be born this year on April 10th at 11:59 p.m. on the same day that he was born. But I can tell you one thing for certain that my Uncle Bud did know. Bud knew photos. Thank you.